Here we are. I have a pre-show bone to pick.
Oh, let's go.
Spike.
Oh no.
Pick it.
I see.
Okay.
I see the rundown.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're gonna get to it because similarly related to this, the Spotify question.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
In the notes for those in the pre-show.
I'm seeing it now.
Says CJ is sleeping here, as in I have not been consistently updating the Spotify question of the pod. However,
wait a minute. We're doing this pre-show and not during the show. I put it in the rundown.
Well, yeah, I wasn't sure if you were gonna because normally
we don't get to it.
So there's like a backfill of like 4 questions that are pretty good and topical of what we're doing.
CJ,
and good answers.
Wow, look at this. Prima donna.
I'm with CJ. Two against one. That's a quorum. That's a majority, and that counts.
Time out. CJ, you see the prep every single pod we do, right?
Yeah.
How much stuff do I prepare personally that we don't get to every podcast? Read every email, listen to every voicemail.
We have a lot of content that we
bring your top 100. Here we go.
Bring your top 100.
Mike Bivens coming on.
Mike Bivens.
Yeah. Mike Bivens is going to help us with the Ringer Top 100. It's going to be a big segment.
I think someone actually did comment that exact thing on the pod last week of Mike Bivens coming on to do the top 100.
Honestly, revisiting in the off season, Mike Bivens calling my cell phone because he couldn't get the pod thing to work the first time we did it or second time we did it while we were doing the podcast is like Michael Bivens. Like it's just who could say that out loud, right?
I have a bone to pick.
A pre-show?
On the rundown. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it. It says first topic. Sixers are now second in the East.
Yep.
And we talked a couple bullet points there, and then it says 2.
Yep.
Embiid is making an MVP push.
Yep.
And then it says 4. The Ringer Top 100 rankings. Am I not allowed to see the third bullet point? Like I can't see CJ during the pod?
No, so what I do is when I make a new rundown, I start from the previous rundown. And sometimes I forget to go back and renumber. So we're missing a 6 too. So
wow, missing a 6. I can't even see a 6.
Well,
what's
interesting is that Mike is looking at the rundown and then sees this because it's probably happened 600 times before. So.
Oh, it does happen. I just wanted to pick a bone like CJ.
Okay.
Like CJ's I'm supporting CJ and his plight.
Thank you. Solidarity.
All right. We ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Big day for them. Big weekend for them, right? Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS and brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process, briggsauction.com. Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. And Kinetic Skateboarding, now with Ricky Fridays. I will update you on that in just a minute. On the show today, Sixers win again, are now tied for second in the East. Joel Embiid might not start the All-Star game. The MVP race may come down to Embiid and Jokic again. Final predictions for the Eagles-Giants game. If Mike can restrain himself from being a dickhead to me during it, we'll have to see. We will clean out our voicemails and emails. And finally, we get to the Ringer Top 100 rankings. Today is the last day to get our 2 new shirts. Pre-order them. We're doing all pre-order now. So the 2 shirts are I've Always Believed in Tobias Harris and the Coach Mike shirt with the diagram of the 1-2-1 zone. You can go, CJ will put the link in the YouTube chat if you are on there now. We'll also put it in the description of the pod. You have until 8 p.m. Saturday night and to order those 2. And then never again. And I did mention Kinetic Friday. So we're doing a new thing where we're going to give you a new Kinetic skateboarding discount every weekend. So last weekend we had the Vans discount. Today, I thought it was going to end yesterday, but it's still going. If you use the code Kinetic Ricky, you can get 25% off any Kinetic brand hoodie or t-shirt at kineticskateboarding.com. So they still have like the royal blue Kinetic Hoops one too, which is cool. So go to kineticskateboarding.com. At checkout, use code KineticRicky. And then if you sign up for the newsletter, you will find out on Thursdays what the code is going to be for that weekend at rightstorickysanchez.com/newsletter. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy with no shortage of bones to pick. That is one Mike Levin.
Full of bones.
Yep.
Loaded with bones.
Tons of bones to pick. Well, Mike, against our better judgment, and as they normally do at some point during the year, the Sixers are playing in a way that if you are not careful, would lead you to believe that they are a championship contender. They have won 4 straight, all on this 5-game West Coast trip. They play the Kings this evening. As of this recording, they've won 6 straight on the road. The offense appears to be clicking. National pundits are saying that they are dangerous. National respect, some even respected national pundits. They're now tied for second in the East, 4.5 games behind the Celtics. Mike, how do you fight off? How would one fight off the carrot that is being held in front of you to believe in the Philadelphia 76ers this year?
With constant vigilance. They looked really good against the Blazers. That was a good win. The Blazers were looking frisky earlier in the season, and then Dame got hurt, and then they kind of, even though he's back now, they haven't picked up that pace.
Can I make a quick Blazers observation that is Sixers related?
Sure.
The worst thing to ever happen to Jeremy Grant's career was going to the Pistons and becoming a number 1 option. Like he's averaging 4 rebounds a game. Like
he was never a good defensive rebounder.
But he should be like like when you're watching him. I guess my thought is, and he's not as big and strong, and there are differences, but like, and they used him this way in Denver. I just feel like you watch what Aaron Gordon's doing, and the sort of like the folly of him trying to be a primary scorer. Like the thing I do best is scoring. I guess I just watched Jeremy Grant, and I'm like, man, if he was put in a role that made more sense, like I just don't want Jeremy Grant scoring 20 points and 4 rebounds and 1 assist a game. It's just kind of a bummer. Maybe it's the situation he's in on the team, but I just feel like him scoring like 27 points a game or whatever he was doing in Detroit may have hurt his trajectory.
Well, rebounding wise, Nurkic and Josh Hart are both good rebounders, and so they get I don't have like the Blazers rebounding numbers in front of me or whatever, but I don't think it's like detrimental to what he's doing. I don't think his offensive role is impacting how many defensive rebounds he's getting. But as far as like the trip to Detroit, like I think it's cool for Jeremy that he got to be in a couple places, like in Oklahoma City and then Denver, like the role player, do everything guy, stand in the corner, hit shots guy, and then decided I'm going to go to Detroit and see how I can expand my offensive game more as the number 1 option. And it worked, and he like did a bunch of good stuff, and they weren't on high volume. He's not like going to be the number 1 option on a great team ever, but like I think it's cool that he wanted to do that. And then he went to Portland and is kind of doing the same thing that he was doing in Denver, just with more of an offensive skill set. He's improved as a shooter. He can shoot like a little bit. He can create his own shot more than he could in the past, or was allowed to in the past. So the Blazers haven't been as good as they were, but he's still doing the Denver thing in Portland, just with a detour in Detroit to like boost his own, self-creation stuff. I think it's a unique trajectory, and I always love Jeremy because he's Sixers a process guy and one of the big success stories that people don't talk about. And I think if in a better situation,
that's probably true. Like if he was on Denver, or on, yeah.
I think Portland could still be be a play-in team. I think it's reasonable to be.
Sure. Anyway, back to the Sixers. Sorry.
They just look good. I mean, the offense was humming. Like it felt like the Embiid Harden pick and roll is just, I had an issue with Doc not playing Harden with Trez all the time, because it's the only way Trez is useful is if he has Harden with him in any minor sense. But it was very clear that Doc wanted to make the Harden and Embiid pick and roll like more potent, their chemistry on court together. Like he really wanted to give them time to coexist together. And maybe that's best for the long run. Maybe, even though we're going to die in those Trez minutes without Harden on there, then it's still better for the future.
Doc credit.
A little bit, maybe. I don't know. It's still frustrating.
I
still got Doc
credit
issues
occasionally. Yeah.
I still got Doc issues, but they just look good, and it was just like, truly try to stop this. Anyone try to stop this, and it's like in football, it feels like there's more. We're gonna do this until you can prove that you can stop it.
Sure.
And in basketball, it seems like there's a little bit more of like, well, we got some variety and we got whatever. But Harden and Embiid pick and rolls, like even if they switch, which they will in the playoffs, especially on Harden, because any doubling Harden, it's insane. It always has been insane this season, but it's very nice of them to do. But if you switch, then that means Embiid is covering the guy Harden was covering. And even if that guy is like, for example, Paul George, which happened in the Clippers game, then Embiid's going to take him to the woodshed. Like, there's nobody that can cover Embiid one-on-one that isn't... There's like 3 guys in the league that can cover Embiid one-on-one. And one of them is like, bizarrely, Brook Lopez. But like, there's no... He can't... A little guy can't do anything against Joel. And you can be the Raptors of a couple years ago and throw a ton of bodies at him and stuff, and that's what the Celtics will do. But then he's got to prove capable of making those passes to the short corner and find somebody for a shooter, and he has. And it's like this. It's just impressive to see them really do a thing that nobody can stop, and it's nice. And I want them to keep doing it.
Well, it's amazing to see, Greg Popovich's team floundering at the bottom of the standings while Doc Rivers' team is excelling and getting better as the season goes on. It's something to wonder about.
Very similar, yeah.
Whether Doc would Pop would make some of these moves. Yeah, I mean, like, this is what it always... I'm glad, to your point about like giving them time on the floor together and them evolving, and, even earlier this year, them both sort of making comments in the press about how the offense should revolve around each one of them.
I love the comments.
It should have always been, I mean, whatever, they're humans. It takes a while. But I'm glad that they've both figured out, hey, this is like, this should be pretty easy.
This is really easy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not going to be that easy in the playoffs, for sure. Nothing is. But shouldn't we use this easy thing to get through the regular season and handily beat the teams we should handle, that doesn't take nearly as much effort as the thing we were doing before? Like the Embiid fucking isolating and Harden isolating, which, by the way, takes a lot more energy out of both of them than they're running this pick and roll. They look like they're doing it in their sleep. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm glad.
They never, Embiid, for the most of his career, never ran pick and roll.
No, he doesn't like setting picks.
And the Sixers didn't have a guard that could make these passes.
Well, that's...
And it was so much dribble handoff. It was like him and JJ Redick 2-man game. It was Seth Curry 2-man game, like that kind of thing. And there was just, him and Jimmy a little bit, but and obviously Ben Simmons from like 4 feet away from the basket. Those little pick and rolls up.
Snug pick and roll. Yeah, future.
But it's just really nice. And I do think it will work in the playoffs. I don't think it's going to work all the time crunch time in the playoffs, but I think there will be large chunks of the playoffs where it's just like, just run this shit, man. And Harden gets a little bit lax. Sometimes he got really lax in the Blazers game, like towards the end, of just kind of making passes, just sort of flinging it out there from like, oh, he'll get it. And then somebody's contesting and stuff. And Joel needs to be better about like fighting for the ball. I think too often he assumes a foul's going to come and he lets like guys, it happened in the Lakers game all those times ago, and like he wasn't fighting for the ball in the inbounds, and then I feel like Nurkic got around him a couple times to poke it out, whatever. It's just something to watch. But make somebody make a play, make them do it, and Embiid's got to be ready to make that pass afterwards. But Embiid, we talked about it last time, but like he's stepping into those shots a little bit easier. He's getting more like dunks down a lane because of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
more dunks down the lane than I've ever seen him do, by the way. Like this clear, and to his credit, when I say clear, he still has to make the decision. Hey, there's a guy there. I'm going to make him make the business decision to get out of the way as I'm going. You know, he could step in, but also he's probably not going to want to do that, and he's doing that more than he ever has.
Yeah, and he's obviously got incredible footwork, and he's nifty about sort of like scooting by somebody for like the little layup inside.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think about like if it's Boston, like how many times is Marcus Smart going to step up on that and be ready to take a charge? And again, a bunch of good teams will, but he's got to be able to navigate those, and Embiid is really good at just pulling up right in somebody's face also. So there was one time I think in the game when Harden made that pass to him that we saw 40 times, and he just starts yelling layup. Like it's cool to see it work and be like, you can't stop it. And when was the last time we had something that the other team couldn't stop, like a play?
Yeah, a play. With it, honestly, the last time was the Redick Embiid dribble handle. Yeah. That was it. And remember, he said to Redick when he was on his podcast, he was like, I'll never find another play that works as well as that one does. And he did. Like, here it is. He did. And God bless both of them for...
And it's the most simple basketball play that there is.
Yep. You know, the other sort of, first of all, Tobias has played well the last couple of games after having the Ricky curse has now turned into the Ricky bump, which is solid.
Had a nice dunk last night.
Had a nice dunk.
What are we up to? You keep talking while I look it up.
He had another a non-dunk drive into the lane that was great. Mm-hmm. Took a couple of quick trigger threes, which we liked seeing. It felt like even though Tobias is good at getting that 14-footer, it felt like that had become too much a core of his offense again. And the last two games, I feel like he's been really solid. What's his dunk total up to?
He's up to 32 on the season. Still on pace for 0.072% of his field goal attempts are dunks, which is far and away still the most that he's had since he was a rookie.
We will get to a Maxey note, which
and he thinks about me every time he dunks.
There's no way
he has to.
There's no way.
There's times when he's like, he could lay that up, but he's like, I'm straining to dunk this. I'm stretching. I'm like, he's looking like Anthony Davis out there, stretching to put a two-handed dunk down. I love it.
Honestly, I may be giving us too much credit, but I feel like there are several things in Toby's life that he's never going to be able to do again without thinking about being on this podcast. Reading
books,
reading his dog, the big, all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to bring up a Maxey thing that has also been a trend. But before that, Briggs Auction, briggsauction.com, BRIGGS auction.com. You can get the app in the App Store or Google Play or the website. Briggs Auction is this sick auction house in Delco, 4-generation family-owned auction house. And every week there are new auctions for you to scroll through and buy shit that you want and maybe you don't need. And I think that is the best kind of product. Last week there was the wine and spirits auction, which was awesome. I'm sure Toby scrolled through that. As it seems like there was a book auction as well, very refined taste for everyone. Dude, this week, and this is when I say there's everything in Briggs Auction. There's vehicles, there's furniture, there's collectibles, sports collectibles, there's books, art, all these sorts of things. This week, for the next week, there is exclusively a Peter Rabbit auction. I had no idea there was this much Peter Rabbit shit in the entire world. I mean, there's in the collectibles section of it, there's fucking 63 things, 234 things in the books section. Just all like, look, if you like Peter Rabbit, there's like a lot here. Every week there's new stuff, furnishings for your home, art for the walls, collectibles just for you. There was a sick Camaro in there like a few months ago. Anyway, briggsauction.com. That is briggsauction.com, Briggs. They have open pickup on Saturdays. You can do it by scheduling it during the weekdays, and they work with shippers to get you shipped to you if that's the way you want to do it. And as well, if you have a bunch of stuff, you're looking to downsize, you think it's worth something, info@briggsauction.com. That's info@briggsauction.com. Briggs Auction, we love you. Shout out Peter Rabbit. Maxey, so, as the Sixers sort of improved in a way while Maxey was hurt and Melton was in the starting lineup, Melton seemed to fit. There was a lot of conversation about putting Maxey on the bench and PJ Tucker sitting and yada, yada, yada. So Maxey ends up on the bench. Doc lies about 3 starting lineups, which will never happen. Doc lies about, Maxey texting him and suggesting it, which also isn't true, or is at least a misappropriation or a distortion of the truth.
Doc has an assistant coach fabricate a Photoshop of texts to show it on the press conference. Good job, bud.
The truth is that this is good for the team and it's good for Maxey. And I think there's probably a portion of Maxey's improved play that is just him getting his feet under him, but also it is at this point in his career, with what his skill set is, it is much better. It is much more productive for him to be out there with not both Embiid and Harden at the same time. Because while he's a good spot up shooter, you don't want to relegate him to that. He feels much more comfortable with the ball. The speed he plays with even is a little more congruent with him leading the offense rather than Harden and Embiid sort of running this slow pick and roll. I know players want to start, but players have gotten big contracts coming off the bench. Hero did, Jordan Poole did. Here are 2 crucial cogs to their team. It doesn't mean he won't ever be a starter, but I think even starting, not starting, talking about who he's playing with and how he's playing, I think it works better for this team right now and for him.
Yeah, I mean, definitely his agent doesn't want him to be starting it as far as who, or doesn't want him to be coming off the bench and everything. But we've had this part of the discussion where you can get him time with Embiid and Harden off the court and also start him. He's just one of the. PJ Tucker's giving them nothing. I would have started Maxey and Melton, Harden, Tobias, Embiid instead of them. And yeah, it's always going to be a concern, but he's one of the best players on the team, and he should be playing enough minutes. It's just a weird. I don't know.
There are plenty of great players that come off that
for sure.
You know what I mean?
There for sure are, but yeah, that's fine. It doesn't bug me too much. And if he's cool with it, then it's fine. I just don't want it to build or breed resentment. He seems like a good kid and he's fine with it and all that stuff. But
it
he's
ain't
very
gonna
clearly
last forever, but it could last this year. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. It's frustrating because he's very good and he's probably their second best off the catch shooter after Niang. And it's just as a weapon, why not have that there? But if there's punch off the bench, I don't mind that. The Sixers haven't had that kind of speed off the bench in forever.
Defensively, it shores up the starting lineup. It just does.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I mean, he needs to himself just become a better defender, and I think Harden needs to fall asleep off ball less. But yeah, it's not too big of a deal. The frustrating thing to me was okay, Doc is now this lineup mastermind. Here we go. He's got 3 starting lineups. He's juggling at the same time as he's coaching. What an impressive display. And then they're up 9 against the Blazers.
Yep.
The Blazers are starting to come back. And Maxey's on the court with Harden with 4 minutes left. Matisse played a great game on Dame Lillard. So did Melton. But why is Matisse not in that game for Maxey or going offense-defense with Maxey? Maybe it was a good enough cushion where Doc's I'm going to leave him in because I want to, I don't know, he's handling personalities and he wants to prove it that he's deserving and all that stuff. But there's a very real chance that they lose that game because their defense is falling apart at the end because they have not enough guys that can stop penetration or make stuff happen on the defensive end.
Not to give Doc credit, but you did mention there are other it's not always every time the best particular lineup for that situation on the court. I think there could be, I'm not saying that this is, who knows whether he's doing it because he's dumb or doing it because he's like the ultimate strategist or whatever, like the ultimate brain, coach. But I have no idea. They did win though, and they won pretty comfortably. So
there were a couple, that lead could have gotten to 4 if like Absolutely. A 3 had gone down. And then it's like, what the fuck are we doing? We're going to blow this lead? Like that Lakers game, like that totally could have happened. It was a frustrating thing to be like, why is this lead evaporating when, and it's because of the choice to have several bad defensive players on the court at the same time.
So I think this is appropriate. We'll get to more voicemails and emails later. 833-LickFace or writes to rickysanchez@gmail.com. But I think this is an appropriate voicemail considering what we're talking about.
I can Maxey Jane on the mic here. 8-time caller this week and last time, I promise. I just want to tell you about the
8-time caller.
180. My outlook is done for the season between the last 2 games and really the therapy session that was the your last pod. My nights commiserated with you. Biggest thing just to look at James Harden's stats this year versus last year. Pretty decent sample size for both, and I think that tells me that I was wrong.
He's done a 180, Mike. He's done a 180 on the season. He believes. Now, I know you're not fully there yet, but my question being, if we were to break out the league into true tiers, let's say 3, let's say the top 3, into true championship contender, just below championship contender, and 7 seed or whatever. Are they who's in the first tier is my question. Obviously we would put Boston there considering they were in the finals last year. They have the best offense in the league, best record, yada yada yada. Who else is true championship contender in the league in that particular tier?
I mean, I think you got to put Milwaukee in there. They have looked weird this year, and with all the weirdness they've looked, they still are second in the East and look good and everything. And if Chris Middleton can get healthy, if Chris Middleton can't get healthy, then I would say maybe not. But I just believe in their ability to turn it on. I mean, the month stretch that Brooklyn had when everybody was healthy and playing looked very good. But the odds of them getting healthy and also continuing that, I think, are maybe a little bit low if something weird doesn't happen. I mean, I would say Denver. They're kicking ass. Denver, Memphis. My Memphis Grizzlies. I love watching my Memphis Grizzlies.
I don't buy the Grizzlies as championship contenders until they I don't buy it yet. I guess I just I watch. Moran is spectacular to watch for sure. There's just there's something about, maybe it's because they're so young. Maybe it's because they're the OKC before they got to the finals, and they'll just get to the finals and then they'll be that team. But them I would put in the next tier until they're in the top tier. If that sounds like a cliche thing to say, but I just wouldn't put them there yet.
I mean, it's easy to say they haven't been there, so I'm not going to believe it until they are. But they're just a special bunch. You watch them play, and their defense is very ferocious, and their energy is crazy, and it shouldn't work. It shouldn't be as easy for them to draft fucking Santi Aldama, and he's just I'm a vital cog in this team, and I'm doing a great job of it. He's awesome. They're just a really, really very good team, and if they stay healthy, Ja got hurt last year. They could have beaten the Warriors.
So you put Sixers in next tier, obviously.
No, I don't think I think I'm compromised by the Sixers and the years that I've had. No. I just can't. I don't think I can do it. I don't know. I have maybe finally 10 years into this podcast, I have grown enough calluses to where they can't break me. They can't. Well, I mean, I'm broken already, but they can't change. They can't convince me until it really happens, because I've seen too much.
When Mike, the episode where Mike became spike. He finally admitted it. He needs to see it before it happens. Actually, this is before we get to the Embiid MVP thing. I actually think this is interesting.
And just the Pelicans when Zion's healthy.
833 Lickface. This is a good one.
Hey guys, Andrew here, first time caller. I was just calling in to ask if it's normal that I listen to the pod pretty regularly, but have not watched a single Sixers game this season. I've popped in for about 2 or 3 games and watched a quarter here and there, but just simply don't care enough to watch full games anymore, but listen to every single pod. Thanks.
It's an interesting way to follow the season. I remember when my brother, after season 2 or something, gave up on Lost, but just continued to read the recaps because he wanted to see what happened and then watch the finale. You save time by not watching the games. You can just listen to, a couple hours of the Ricky every week. I think that makes sense.
I think it makes more sense for the Sixers than for Lost, which does get very good and great, and I love it. Shout out Tanner. But watching the game, not watching the Sixers and hearing us talk about it is interesting. Mike Bowen always does this thing when he'll be like, judging by the tone of Philadelphia fans on Twitter, the Eagles or whoever, any Philadelphia team is down by 40, and then you check the box score, and then it's like, oh, it's like for the Eagles like 13-10 or something.
Yeah.
So I think that we might have some of that.
It goes both ways, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I like it. I like it as our listeners. I want a nice variety of them, and I think not watching the games is a great one. And look, I've lied to myself about this and lied to all of you people, but the regular season doesn't matter, and that's it's a healthier way to do it, maybe.
MVP thing in a second. Before that, here's an MVP for your dog. It's Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Been a rush lately of processed pup photos in the email. I love seeing the processed pup photos in the email. Jelly Bean was a new processed pup. There's actually 2 dogs in there. Quite simply, the Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Bed is the best bed that you can get your dog to keep your dog healthier. I think it looks the best. It certainly holds up the best. There's a 10-year warranty on it, but it is the best for your dog's joints. If you go to bigbarker.com/Ricky, you will get the Big Barker dog bed along with 2 processed pup patches. And when you send us a picture of your dog on the bed, they go in the gallery, throw them on the Instagram, love dog photos. It was, I remember Eric, who owned it at the time, was telling me why he started Big Barker. And he had this giant dog, and he learned about dogs sort of like developing arthritis as they age. And he noticed that all the dog beds were basically like pillows. So they went and they specifically engineered a bed to keep your dog healthier. And they got it there. And Penn Vet did a study on it, and it does it. And it's not just for big dogs now. It started for big dogs, but it's for all dogs. And your dog sleeps like all fucking day long and should be sleeping on something that supports their joints to keep them healthier. And like I said, it looks better. It comes in all different colors, all different, few different shapes, all different sizes. bigbarker.com/Ricky. As I mentioned, 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. 1 year at-home trial. How about that? 1 year at-home trial. If you don't like it, the dog won't sleep on it, return it. They'll even pay for shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Woof, woof.
So we complained earlier in the year as Joel Embiid was not getting the MVP respect that he perhaps deserved, or maybe he was where he should be. There's a lot of great players this year. But as the Sixers improve, as they steady, and as the season goes on, the Embiid MVP case gets stronger. The current Kia MVP ladder, Kia didn't give us any money, but that's what it is on the NBA.com, has Jokic 1, Tatum 2, Embiid 3.
Kia sponsoring a ladder.
Yes.
Yeah, sense.
Kia doesn't make ladders. Shouldn't it be the MVP car? Mike, I ask you this. If this comes down to Jokic and Embiid again toward the end of the season,
yeah,
which seems entirely possible. Doncic is out there. If the Celtics continue to play well, I feel like, Tatum could definitely win MVP. But if this comes down to Jokic and Embiid again, how do we, as a podcast, as a community handle something like that? Because it's a real possibility.
I don't know. It's pretty disgusting. I like Jokic. I think he's great. I enjoy watching him. I don't feel any like visceral bad feelings to him as a player or person. But when I'm rooting for Jason Tatum to get the MVP over Nikola Jokic, that like we've come too far. Like we are in hell. Yeah, I mean, it's just like if they could go back and go like, actually last year we should have given it to Embiid. Our bad. If they could do like a switcheroo and then give Jokic the MVP this year, then great. But they've already made a mistake, and so they can't compound the mistake by giving another MVP to a guy that like is the same. It's a toss-up. So stop giving the toss-up guy to the guy who's already won one. Like we did it. It's not a real thing. Like that's every year, you know, like all-star appearances and MVPs, like the sanctity of it is like it doesn't exist. Like plenty of people made the all-star game that didn't deserve to make the all-star game because like fans voted them in or whatever. And like I think people think that the MVP is, well, that's above that and stuff. But it's like it's not. It's all subject to like bullshit narrative and like feelings and who's won it before. And this idea that like, you know, how many
just
MVPs
simply must go to the best regular season player.
Exactly.
That year. It's like not how it's ever worked.
CJ, how many MVPs has LeBron won? It's not that many, and it's because
4,
it's like
right.
Because like, well, he hasn't. I'm not gonna. Do I have to look at the chat or is he gonna pop up?
No. His video is gone. I think it's because of his internet. He'll put it in the chat. There you go.
4. It is 4.
Yeah.
But like, he's obviously been the best player in the league in more than 4 years.
Yeah.
And same with same with Steph in some circumstances. It's just like, guys, he's already won 2.
It's enough.
It's enough. Give it to either Embiid or Tatum or Luka. Like, if it's not Embiid, then it's you know.
Well, do we adopt an anyone
bias,
but do we adopt an anyone but Jokic stance? Is that the stance we're adopting for this year?
I think absolutely. I'm tired of doing the like trying to prove Embiid is good just so much as like
Sixers fans for Tatum.
Fine. Yeah. Fine. And if that and maybe if that's a way that, you know, Jaylen Brown can start to get itchy and get out of there. If Tatum wins MVP, he wants to go win his own MVP somewhere else. Get him out. But yeah, it's just like, guys, it was a tie last year, and you gave it to the guy who had already won. I like so nailed Zach Lowe to the fucking wall with it. Just to be like, Giannis already won one, Jokic already won one. Here's a list of bad things that Embiid had to overcome. And to not give him the MVP, it was disgusting. Even in the season that Ben Simmons was sitting out, like unbelievable. Unbelievable they didn't give him the MVP last year. What a joke. What a joke. But this year, it's like, yeah, I think it's truly anybody but Jokic. And not because I don't like Jokic. I like Jokic. He's great, fun to watch. You know,
he just doesn't need to win 3 straight MVPs.
He just doesn't need to win 3 straight MVPs. If we won 3 straight MVPs, then like in order to win 3 straight MVPs, you should have to have won like 3 straight NBA championships, like
or one in the middle, or one in the middle. Like if he had won the championship last year, and then won the MVP again this year, I just like it. It's time. It's time. And KOC, I love KOC, but he does this thing. He's one of these guys that you love him, but you want to choke the life out of him sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
He's pretty chokeable.
Yeah. And
sweet guy, very chokeable.
Yeah. And he's banned, but he filled in for you one week. And while he was filling in, we were talking about this, and he was like, it's a regular season award for the best regular season player. And I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Can we stop making pretend that other things aren't part of this, you know? And like, you just,
there's not some like big machine in Willy Wonka that like spits out a fucking like, and it's MVP and it's Jokic. Like, there it is. Like, that's what it is. It's all fucking, everybody's got their own biases, and it's like, it's the same thing. It's all, that's like when you've brought up like, you know, all-star appearances or something in the past. I don't remember what, but like it's all of these are corruptible things. There's not like a one, like, definable thing, because everything is like human beings making their own bullshit fucking rationales for it. And it's the same, like it's those scouts in Moneyball being like, he's got a hot girlfriend or whatever. Like it's the same shit. It's the same shit. Embiid should have won the MVP last year. Look at all the shit he's overcome.
Well, and here's
apologize for bad logic.
And the thing that I would express, and then we can wrap this up, but like you say, well, it's award for the best regular season player. It's like, no, it's called the most valuable player.
Yeah.
So it is purposely ambiguous. Like they do it that way. So the answer can't just be you feeding numbers into a computer and it spitting out an answer. It's purposely ambiguous. Grow up, vote for somebody other than Jokic. You won that battle. He's good. Everyone believes he's fucking good. I believe he's fucking good. Everybody believes he's good. You won. Congratulations. Give it to Tatum or Embiid or somebody else this year.
Yeah.
You won.
And honestly, like I've been, near death on Jason Tatum for a long time. Like I've been like holding on to a pit.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Mount Doom, just like one finger on the ledge, trying to do, and just like honestly, just shove me in. He's gonna win MVP. Just fucking shove me into the goddamn fire. Like
at least it's not Ingram.
Let me burn alive.
Yeah.
Because Jason Tatum, who they traded up to not get, because Markelle Fultz forgot how to shoot. Just set myself on. Just really let me have it. It's enough already. My toes have been crisping this whole time, and I just really just let me burn alive, please.
I would go to the Spotify question in the pod here, which is if you're watching or listening on Spotify, it would be under the player. But
what's the face CJ's making right now?
I can't see him. There's no CJ video right now. I do think his internet at his girlfriend's parents' house is suspect, but the CJ just hasn't.
If we can't trust the internet, how can we trust his girlfriend's parents, his girlfriend's dad to measure him?
Oh, he put something in the chat. Maybe he's naked. Wi-Fi sucks. Sorry. There we go. Maybe you should plug in.
You put a picture of his naked body in the chat. That's
CJ just hasn't put the question in the pod in Spotify when he uploads, and he was like, "Well, you guys, haven't used it." It's like, "Fuck you, man!" Like, do you know how many things I put in the rundown that we don't use? I need things to go to occasionally. Now, I like hearing from the listeners. Get on your game. You're either the producer or you're not. The hard to stomach YouTube comment of the week comes from one of our regular viewers who is a Raptors fan who loves the Ricky. And on the last pod, we were discussing your comment about the Raptors deciding not to trade Scotty Barnes for Kevin Durant. And Jeff Berg says in YouTube, A, the Nets never intended to trade Durant. B, they wanted along with Scotty, OG and Fred, or OG and Siakam and Scotty, a.k.a. Durant, Gary Trent, Malachi Flynn. Can you say not a contender? So he's calling bullshit on your...
Yeah, I mean, I think when Kevin Durant makes a formal trade request public,
I think they thought about it.
They are having to think about it. They might not have wanted to, but almost everybody that requests a trade that stature, unless they're, Furkan Korkmaz, gets the trade. Mm-hmm. And when they were,
they just weren't getting good offers.
Possibilities. Yeah. I mean, I think they were getting good offers, but maybe not the ones that they necessarily wanted. And it didn't make it worth it. And they wanted to see if it would die down. And to their credit, it did for now. But they did fire their head coach at least. So maybe that was the thing that everyone was satisfied by, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that there could have been trades. If Scotty was the centerpiece of the deal, I don't think it has to be Scotty and OG and Pascal.
And all your good players.
Yes, I don't think that would have been the case.
Maybe that's the ask, but that's how you negotiate.
Yeah.
Writes Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com or 833-LickFace is how you get
dying to get Chris Boucher out of there.
Yeah.
Dying.
I would love
Please, God.
Yeah.
Please, God, give me Chris Boucher.
Yeah. Or at least put him on a team that the Sixers aren't going to face. Put him on some bad team somewhere. I would love to have him, but I would mostly love to not have to face him anymore.
Yeah. He will shoot 8% from three with us, but at least the threat of the shot will be better than any backup center that the Sixers have ever had.
Here's an email. Now, we received an email saying that it appeared as if Joel Embiid was putting a lozenge into his mouth before he went onto the court in the Clippers game, and then proceeded to throw the trash on the ground. Now, I did receive confirmation from an NBA source that Joel Embiid did put something into his mouth and throw the trash on the ground, and Montrezl Harrell picked up the trash. But here's an email from Sam.
And isn't that the role?
Yep. Spike, Mike, and CJ. This is in response to the most recent podcast and Joel throwing trash on the court. When the Clippers played the 76ers at home, my friends and I were sitting right behind the scorer's table. And when Embiid went to check in, an assistant coach would bring him over 3 to 4 Jolly Rancher candies, and Joel would pop them in his mouth. Then said coach, maybe Mike's new gig, would clean up his trash. Why Jolly Rancher? I don't know. But that must have been what the trash was on the court during the Clippers game. It does seem very dangerous to be running around with hard candy in your mouth, but obviously it's been working. Love the pod. So I did some internal investigation.
Okay.
To find out what it actually was. As one person said Lawson, somebody else said Jolly Ranchers. The Sixers do have gum and mints that are there, but they also have individually wrapped lifesavers. And it was not Jolly Ranchers. I don't think. My intuition is, given what I know, that he was putting perhaps, it's not, Joel does like sweets, so it is not impossible to think he was putting a few lifesavers in his mouth before playing.
Yeah.
I am specifically worried about him choking, though. It does seem like a very Ricky thing to happen.
That'd be so fucked up.
Yeah.
I love a big guy that likes sweets.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Peterson. Not as big.
Loves ice cream.
But loves ice cream.
Yeah.
Very, very charming. Don't, if he jokes, I'll fucking lose it. Eat it when you're not in the game. Yeah. So when you're sitting down getting upset about what Montrezl is doing and how bad his defense is and how people shoot 90% with him there, Anthony Simon's just begging Trez to come cover him. Please cover me. People shoot better with Trez on them than when they're wide open.
Yeah.
He is like a human boost to your shooting percentages. So impressive. Can't do anything on defense. Unbelievable. And anytime he gets like a block and then like starts to like look around and like, which is the fun stuff, like a backup center should be doing, is like pumping up the crowd and like doing like, I like that energy. He just doesn't deserve it because he doesn't do it when he's getting roasted in any pick and roll or anything whatsoever. Oh God, he's so bad, man.
Fuck Montrezl Harrell. Oh my God. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but he can't play basketball anymore. It's killing me. He just gave the Clippers basically like 7 points in a row. It's ridiculous. I can't deal with it. Relatedly, every time you play the Clippers, the Sixers play the Clippers, it's worth revisiting the Shake Milton 39-point game.
Yep.
Somebody was tweeting clips from it tonight. In one of the clips, Shake puts a move on Montrez, on Clippers Montrez, and then Glenn Rivers calls a timeout. And the broadcast said that, and it took me a second to realize that, God damn it, we used to not have those guys, and now we do. So, joke's on us.
I forgot that Trez was. I should watch those clips again. I forgot that Trez was on the court.
Montrezl Harrell
for the Clippers during that run. Amazing.
So good.
Shake was good against the Blazers also.
He was.
He's just
such a good season, man.
He's such a nifty little player. I love him so much. And I love his finishes. I'm so excited to see how much he gets paid this offseason. It's not going to be by us, unfortunately, but like
it's going to be $6 million.
What a great 6 is more than 5. So him making more than Cork Miles, I will still count that as a win for me. I think it's going to be more than 6.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
Maybe 12 is strong.
Yeah.
But I could say like 8 or 9. What's like DeLon Wright getting? Like 8 or 9?
I don't know.
8 or 9?
Google it. Yeah, Google it. While I talk about Kornblau, I'll talk about Kornblau. You find out how much everybody's making. Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. Look.
Yeah. 8 years. 8 million.
There you go. Kornblau does not negotiate contracts. He is a personal injury lawyer, the premier boutique personal injury law firm in southeastern PA. But I don't know, if you want him to negotiate your contract, reach out. Maybe he'll do it. 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam. Email kornblau@kornblau and kornblau.com. Personal injury lawyers, it's full of sharks, bullshit liars. Like, honestly, guys that put themselves on billboards and advertise, and you call that place and you don't even get the guy that's on the billboard, because when you call that place, all they're just a referral service. This big scam is the wrong word, but it is intellectually dishonest. Kornblau, intellectually honest. When you reach out to Kornblau, you get them. You send an email to that email address, you call that phone number, you're going to get them. 4 decades. Kornblau and Kornblau has been there. Some of the biggest medical malpractice results in the area. Office is all over the place, but he will come to your home. He will come to your home if you want him to. Does house calls. At one of the live Rickies, there were corn dogs named in his honor, and he bought corn dogs for a bunch of people. So, look, it's not just medical malpractice.
They ran out so fast.
What's that? They did.
They ran out. People wanted them. People wanted that corn.
Yeah, well, it was a great item. Who had thought? Was it Rich? It was Rich at Underground Arts that thought about the Kornblau corn dog, I think, and it was a huge success. Look, like I mentioned, medical malpractice, injured at work, slip and fall, all of those things, car accidents, like any of those things. If you are injured and you're hurt and you think somebody else might be at fault, like you being a hero and saying, I'll be okay. Don't do that. Before you do that, reach out to Kornblau. And if you have any other issue, we've had several listeners reach out to Kornblau with other issues and you need some general legal advice or need, hey, who could I go to for this? He's your guy. Need a lawyer, just go to Kornblau first. Like I said, 215-576-7200. Ask for Adam or email kornblau@kornblauandkornblau.com, KORNBLAU, Kornblau and Kornblau, the official law firm of the process. What do we got here? Backup center. Let's do a backup center email from Eric. It's obvious we can't go into the playoffs with Montrezl as backup center, and I'm not convinced we could with B-ball either. Anyway, Doc won't. How would you feel about making backup center our primary trade target with Matisse a necessary piece for any of these better options? And what is your appetite for any of the following, given their contracts and asking price? His options are Mason Plumlee, Kelly Olynyk, Daniel Gafford, Andre Drummond, Rashawn Holmes. Now, you can see
Rashawn and Gafford are making way too much money.
Yeah. So Gafford makes $13 million a year. Rashawn makes 12. Olynyk makes 12.
Yeah. Olynyk would be fine if he's healthy. He's hurt right now. Walker Kessler is playing great over there. So they might be very welcome to trade him, or like Jared Vanderbilt or something. Although I think Vanderbilt will read to Duck similar to B-ball Paul. But Drummond, I think it's like, I'm resigning myself to they're never going to get an actual stretch five that can do anything because they've robbed me of it for so long. And at least Drummond is tall and can rebound. I will get back to my take that all of Drummond's rebounds were fake rebounds because he was never winning any like contested ones that much, maybe on the offensive end, but defensively people were getting him over him. But he's better rebounder than Trez by a lot. And still has some juice in there. And so if the Bulls decide to kick that, then yeah, sure.
Can I make I'm going to make a crazy thing. And I was never pro Drummond anyway.
Yeah.
I know this sounds fucking nuts. I'd rather have Harrell than Drummond.
That's wrong. That's impossible.
Only because if we are talking about a player that specifically knows what his role is, isn't going to do any fucking loop-de-loo, zippity-zoo passes around his back, and Harden is comfortable with, I think Drummond sucks. I honestly think Andre Drummond sucks, and we would be furious with him in the playoffs. And I'd rather Harden and Doc and fucking Daryl not have any excuses. Here's your fucking guy. You know where he's going to be. You know where he's going to do. I don't think Drummond's enough of an upgrade to go with Drummond. In
that reality that they're not having any excuses, then there's a version where they just apologize at the end of the year. I think that's what you're hoping to get. Being we were wrong and we should have known better. I don't think that's going to happen. But I like the possibility. Drummond is just a better player at this stage of his career. I don't love him. He's not the ideal backup center because of his limitations on the perimeter, but he's better than Trez, and he can rebound, and Trez can't rebound for shit. He doesn't even try to rebound. So many times Trez is in there, and he's backing up in I think against Blazers there was a time when he backed in a rebound opportunity, he just sort of stepped out of bounds. He was just I'm under the stanchion. He's just not he's not in the premises. He's horrendous, and it sucks because I liked him so much as a prospect. But as he had to add weight to hang as a center, has no jump shot, is shooting 51% from the line. There's just nothing that he's giving you. So at least Drummond would be that. Olynyk is interesting. He's obviously not a tremendous defensive player, but he's not as bad as he used to be, and he does protect the rim a little bit. And And he's
And
a
he can
legitimate shooter. He's a really good shooter. Like a legitimate, very good, very real shooter. He's a smart player, and he can attack. He can do some of the same things that George Niang can do, attacking closeout and stuff, and making the right pass and stuff. So I would like Kelly Olynyk. As I've said, if the Sixers had Olynyk for at least some of the last 4 or 5 years, they would have won several championships. But yeah, I'd be fine with it. And I think like solidifying that role, whether it's Olynyk or not Drummond, but I guess I'd be fine with Drummond. But solidifying with somebody, Chris Boucher, like it would allow me to not feel like we're about to do the same thing that we always do. Right, and maybe that would lift the lid on how I can believe in this team.
Right.
Because I simply will not believe in this team with them going into the playoffs if Trez is their backup center. I will not do it. I refuse to do it. I have a fundamental refusal to do that. If Montrezl Harrell is a backup center, if they try to do this to me again, I won't do it. I will not play along. There's only so many times that you can yank the football away from me before Charlie Brown walks away and does a podcast, but he doesn't like it. He's not enjoying himself because you guys fucking tried to do it again. It's not going to happen. I'm not doing it. And it would be nice also to just do a little consolidation to get like a bigger wing, but everybody's looking for a bigger wing.
Somebody in the YouTube chat said wanting Harrell over Drummond is, quote, trolling bias. Everybody on the internet has to learn that like not everybody that disagrees with you is trolling you. Fucking hate.
Do you feel like you've learned that?
What's that?
Do you feel like you've learned that when you feel like people are trolling you and they're disagreeing?
Well, I don't. No. Whether do I feel like I've learned that not everybody is trolling you?
People that
I think you're thinking about
you.
it the opposite way. Like you're asking me, hey, when people disagree with you, or no, I plenty of people disagree with me without trolling.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I honestly believe that 99% of our disagreements are genuine, like about basketball or whatever, or genuine disagreements about.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about myself. I was saying it feels like sometimes you're getting in arguments with people on Twitter, and I wonder if you're following your own advice, I guess is my question.
No, well, so I don't think that they are. Like my frustration is that they think I'm trolling them because they think I disagree with them, and like I am maybe to a fault generally like 100% honest about how I feel about everything, and it may be wrong a lot. It's certainly wrong a lot, but it is definitely like not attempting to troll. I don't get anything out of trolling anybody, like nothing. There's certainly I think there's like this perception that like trolling people gets them to like click on something or whatever, but like it would be a lot more obvious. Like I don't get anything out of saying that I'd rather have Montrezl than Drummond. I just don't like Drummond. 833 Lickface is the voicemail.
Hi, Spike, Mike, and CJ. My name's Joe. First time, long time. My question is, so Daryl Morey, he's done, we would say, a very good job as the Sixers GM, but this past summer, the deals for Tucker, the deals for House, I understand it's hard to get role players 100% perfect all the time, but just the fact that Tucker's getting 3 years, the fact that House is getting guaranteed money for 2 years, the next time Daryl comes on the pod, I would love it if you guys would maybe, question why he gave so many years and guaranteed money out to those two guys when we maybe could have gotten some better younger players. Thank you guys. Keep up the great work.
So I think we should have Daryl on after the trade deadline. February 9th is the trade deadline. So
I've already told him that we're doing that.
Okay. All right, good.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I think
those signings have been bad. The 3 signings that Daryl has made this offseason have been bad. Tucker for 3 years he looks worse than he's ever looked. The hope is that he performs in the playoffs, and the fact that he's not shooting at all is less of a concern. But like it's like danger. It's like we are at, I know he's not the same player in any way, but like we're at Simmons level of like he's not even looking at the basket, and that is a problem. That is a fundamental problem with a player on a basketball court playing as many minutes as PJ Tucker is. Harrell obviously has sucked. The hope is that his offense, his shooting at the rim improves back to like what it was for most of his career, but he keeps missing layups. Like he keeps missing bunnies. He doesn't have the lift that he has before. And the defense.
He's playing better now than he did a month ago or 2 months ago. I mean, then
he had a during Embiid's absence, he had a run of like he's at least doing some stuff offensively, but he's still like missing a ton, and it's only when he's wide open and dunking that's the only thing he's given you. And House has been horrendous. Like, I mean,
there's a couple.
He doesn't play anymore. Yeah. Doc still. I talked to Sixers Adam, but like Doc still like talks him up like he's good when he gets the opportunity to. But yeah, I mean, House was he has shown flashes in his career of being a useful player and the defense being good enough and also being a threat to shoot. But now he is sort of like robotically only able to take step back threes. Like that's the only thing he wants to do. He like can't or won't shoot just off the catch. He has to get into a step back, and he's pretty good on it. But I can't imagine if I was his coach being like, just fucking shoot it when they pass it to you.
It's like, not what we need him for.
It's not what we need him for. So it hasn't looked good. I mean, the Dan House signing, all three of those have been definitely to varying degrees like below average or below expectations. What has worked out very well is the D'Anthony Melton trade. And
for sure,
even though David Roddy is awesome and I love David Roddy,
it was the right trade to make.
Yeah. He's been massively helpful. He's helpful with Maxey. He's helpful with Harden. Him and Embiid have a nice chemistry. He's just like, he's awesome, and I hope he's here forever.
I want to set up expectations for everyone. It's like we could ask him. It's really hard to ask a sitting general manager or a coach, not that we won't ask him, hey, this player that is on your team for several years that you signed, who's here now, should you not have given him all that money?
Yeah,
he's not going to answer the way that you want. But like, I think we'll find a way. I think we try to do a good job of finding a way to phrase the question in a way that maybe they could answer. But I think you're going to be disappointed in the general response on that one.
Yeah, and I think let's see what happens in the next few weeks before the trade deadline.
Yeah,
of like who comes in and solidifies the rotation, and whether Shake gets moved because he's expiring, or whether Matisse finally gets moved because they don't trust him, like those kinds of things. Like it'd be nice. Right now they have, if you count PJ as like someone that you can count on in the playoffs, which I believe we can. I do. Okay. It's very fresh. The offense is really like driving me insane. And usually the roles will be reversed, Spike. The roles would be reversed usually. You know that. Because if there was a guy there, we have much evidence of this, of like there's a guy who plays defense but like doesn't shoot and doesn't do anything offensively and doesn't look at the basket. You'd be like, he doesn't shoot. He's not shooting. Shoot the ball. It's a point of basketball. Like you'd be doing that.
No.
You would be.
By the way,
I've had to sit here to be like,
I was right about Ben Simmons, and you were wrong. So let's just get that out of the way.
Well, I mean, he also got worse. We've talked about that.
But I was still right, and you were still wrong. So, but the big difference is that Ben Simmons was tasked with being the second best offensive player on the team.
Of course.
And in the current starting lineup, PJ Tucker is literally even the best PJ Tucker you could think of is the last player you would want taking a shot. So
he just needs to be a threat. He just needs to be a threat. And right now he's not from like anywhere on the court except for like 2 inches on either corner.
I feel like he is but that's what he's always done.
But no, he was at least cutting to the rim. He was at least like he has gone further into his corner of like what he refuses to do. And when you have guys that refuse to do stuff, when you have guys that are so limited that they won't even look at it, then that affects how other people are covered. It affects how Embiid is covered. It affects how they cover the pick and roll.
Well,
he needs to be better. And like if it's just now he's just like, I mean, the offense is pathetic. It's a joke.
I'm not defending the signing because he obviously overpaid him for too long. I'm also not entirely disagreeing that he could do more than he's doing. But currently, the first 20 minutes of this podcast were about how good their offense looks, much of it with PJ Tucker on the floor. And Joel Embiid is having the best. Hold on, Joel Embiid is having the best offensive season of his entire career. James Harden is having the best offensive season that he's had in years. D'Anthony Melton, who's in the starting lineup, has found offense that and Tobias Harris is doing exactly what we want, all with PJ Tucker on the court.
Yeah, I mean, but
what's he preventing? You
could say that like the Sixers are the second seed and Montrezl Harrell is there, so aren't they good? Like I think those things are happening independent of PJ Tucker, and it it doesn't mean that PJ can't do more things or shouldn't do more things. Because like
I'm just
in
not
the
as
playoffs,
frustrated.
when those like you get pinched on the edges, like his lack of shooting and lack of offensive contribution in any way is going to hurt them, because then guys can step off him more. They can double off him plenty. He's standing in the dunker spot doing nothing. He's not a lob threat. Like a million things that he could be doing that a better player would be doing, and he's just like not that guy at this point in his career. Anyway, if you trust those 5 guys, the main starters plus Maxey plus Niang, who I love, that's 7.
Mm-hmm.
Shake is great, would be 8, but I do
rather have a wing there.
You'd rather have somebody, especially with Melton, you'd rather have somebody that can defend a little bit more.
Yeah.
So that guy plus a backup center that you trust, and that's the rotation. And like if they can improve those 2 spots, or at least one of those 2 spots, or at least can continue to use Matisse like he's a useful offensive player, and if Harden can keep making him useful here and there, then that's one of them. But like one of those 2 spots at least needs to get better. And it needs to be like if Shake is here, then like that guy needs to be kind of both guys, like a PJ Washington type that can be both the big wing and a backup center. It's an interesting spot, but like that's the rotation. So
I guess my final thought on Tucker is that I'm betting on him being mostly what we need him to be once the playoffs start. And maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
That's the hope for sure.
So final voicemail is one that I know is going to irritate you. And I thought it was a good voicemail, and we had to get to it as Joel Embiid made some comments about Hakeem Olajuwon, who made some comments about him. 833 Lickface.
Hey, it's Brian from Maryland. I saw the Embiid response to Hakeem Olajuwon, and it's laughable. I mean, Embiid's biggest asset is his size. You have 3 Hall of Famers. I'll just name 3 for this argument: Barkley, Shaq, and now Olajuwon saying, stay in the post, stay in the post. And his response is, that's not how you win. You have no basketball IQ. Well, we haven't won anything. He hasn't won anything. And I think he's going to be the reason this year that everyone looks and says, this is why we haven't won anything. Just a few games ago, he bails out in Oklahoma City when they don't even have a center to play him, and refuses really to do anything inside. So, I mean, right now you could sit here and say, predict the future. We're going to lose in the playoffs. I'm ready to move on from him. I kind of find it hard to believe that everyone else isn't.
Wow. Jesus.
Now, I think the one interesting truth, I think, in what he said, the one thing that I agree with, because mostly I think he's wrong, is that if this is what we're expecting from Harden, which I think we said this is best possible scenario, what this really does is it does put, as long as Harden doesn't disappear completely, it does put these playoffs squarely on Embiid. Like, in that if they do not succeed, I think there will be he's been largely able to sort of avoid that specific criticism that he failed. And as long as he's not hurt, I think that this playoffs will be, fair or not, will be I forget what the word is, but like, we'll reflect on him specifically. But the other stuff, not willing to get in the post, ready to move on from him, yada, 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 that was a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he's had so many bad things happen to him before the playoffs. It sucks. It sucks that haven't had as many fully healthy Embiid playoffs, whether it's a broken face or the broken face the second time or the poopies. Hopefully this is just like he's healthy for the playoffs and we can go like, all right, finally, let's go and really see it. Because it hasn't happened. So he hasn't been as good. He hasn't been good enough in the playoffs. He hasn't lifted them out, but it's also like there are some reasons for that.
And also his being healthy in the playoffs is like, you don't blame him for those things, but like if you get to if he's 29 and you get to this many years and there's another situation in which he's not physically able to lead at that time, lucky or unlucky, his fault or not his fault, you start to get to a point where you're like, well, We won a championship, and this guy's never been healthy when it's time to do it. So that's like a thing to at least consider. Not blame him for, but at least consider.
Yeah. He turns 29 in 2 months. He will be 29 for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the post stuff, like, I get it on one hand. Like, obviously, he's big. He's impossible to stop. Like, get him in there. But, like, people that played in a different era when, like, illegal defense was a thing, like, you can't just go back to the basket and take your time, like, going by people every single time. Like, they will send doubles. And if he's sending doubles when his back's to the basket, that means he can't see them.
It becomes really hard in the playoffs too to post up in the final quarter of a close game.
And so it's pick and roll, it's isolation at the nail, like those kinds of things where it's like you're essentially doing the same thing, and he will get in post up situations, but it can't be all the time because they're going to keep sending doubles, and he's gotten better as a passer, but he's not like a brilliant passer, and he's not like so intuitive that he can like feel a double before he even looks at it. Like
not like back to back MVP winner Nikola Jokic.
Exactly.
Right.
So it's just like, I don't know, everybody that's old, just like I didn't hear any of those Hakeem comments, so I don't know exactly what he said, but I mean, he's Embiid's hero, so like there's a ton of like stuff that Embiid does that is very Hakeem-esque. It's like he's like a mix of like Hakeem and Kobe, which is such a crazy combination. But like just like everybody that's like, I don't know. Am I gonna be giving advice when I'm like 55?
Sure,
like
and
a 25-year-old writer? I don't know.
By the way, like the Hakeem thing, I did not. I only saw the quote. Like I didn't see the context of it. And like, here's the thing, man. Like there are some people. Hakeem might not watch a lot of basketball now. Like there are a lot of people who do. And in
Shaq certainly doesn't.
That's funny. Like I don't know. We don't need to like shit on, but we don't need to shit on Embiid for playing in 2023 like it's 2023. And like Hakeem, I don't know, you ask a guy a question and he's not an analyst anywhere. Like he's just he's like, I don't know. If I were that guy, he's enormous. I would be in the post. It's like, okay, it's fair. So before we go, we are recording this. You may be listening Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, but we're recording this 9 hours prior. At this point, we are 9 hours from kickoff of Giants Eagles.
Spike's been doing this whole podcast from a tailgate.
Yes, yeah, at MetLife actually. Stadium.
Buddy, you're in the wrong place. Shit.
No. This is where we're tailgating. We're 9 hours away. The current DraftKings line, hold on, as of last night, it was Eagles minus 7.5. But let me just make sure it hasn't moved. It opened up at 7.5, then it went to Eagles minus 7 almost immediately, and then it back to 7.5. So it's still Eagles minus 7.5. I want two things from you.
Okay.
I want your DraftKings pick, Vegas Mike, and then I want if you just give me the score, I think that'll be both. That'll give us the winner and the spread pick.
It's tough. I really tried to avoid, like, I'm in a couple like fantasy postseason type pools and stuff.
Yeah.
When I was in Memphis, I did so much DraftKings because we don't have a sports book here, so I was doing DraftKings all the time. It was dangerous. I felt like alive all the time, like everything. I'm watching something. There's a live bet. I'm doing it. So maybe healthy for me that I'm in a state that doesn't allow the sports book for now. But I always try to like avoid putting like Eagles in them because I can't like be mad about the Eagles and also mad about like my gambling or my whatever. But seeing as I'm Vegas Mike and I'm wearing the Eagles hat right now, the Instagram Eagles hat, I feel like they're gonna fucking crush them, dude. They should crush them.
It's a possibility.
Absolutely unload on them. So I'm gonna say fucking
31-10.
Yeah, I was gonna say 31-13.
Yeah. So to me, the big question.
It makes me sick to say that. It makes me physically ill to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's risky for sure.
Yeah.
Like the real question that nobody knows that we can only guess on is the specific health of Hurts and Lane Johnson. They're not even debatably. I think maybe you could say Kelsey but like they're the two most important players on the Eagles offense. Lane hasn't played in a month, and we've only seen Hurts once, and he was still obvious, like given the quotes before and after, was still obviously in pain, and the offense didn't look great that time. So if those guys are right, even though they haven't played well in a month, like they were clearly, if not the best team in football, one of the 2 best teams in football. But like, have not seen them play. I think the Giants are playing much better than they have all year. And I'm picking the Giants 23-21. And I will be, look, fucking Jalen Hurts could come out there looking great. Lane Johnson could be shot up with 17 shots of whatever they shoot you up with to make sure it doesn't hurt anymore. Playing with a fucking torn muscle in your midsection sounds fucking horrible to me, but offensive linemen in football are a different breed. So that is my pick. We will see. And then when are we doing our next pod? Oh, is the Nets game Wednesday? It is. Ben did get thrown out of a game after getting 2 technicals, 5 fouls in 18 minutes. Somebody suggested that they thought maybe he did that so he could be 1 technical away from getting suspended for the Sixers game, which it's not, I wouldn't say yes, but it's also not impossible. So we'll see what happens.
Interesting thought.
Yeah. Well, Sixers are good. They play the Kings tonight in a game that literally nobody will watch in all of Philadelphia. Doesn't even happen. Doesn't even count. So
they've so far swept the road trip. So that's,
yeah, can't ask for much more than that.
You could ask for a little more than that.
Yeah.
You could ask for a little more than that. And I have, and I will continue to.
We'll talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.